Hi, this is Mike Hendrickson from Velocity 2016 in New York. I'm here with John and Ryan. How you doing?
Doing well. Happy to be here.
Yeah. And you guys are with Signal FX.
We are.
Yeah. How's the event been for you this week?
It's been great. We love working with O'Reilly and coming to Velocity. We're seeing a real trend in terms of folks thinking about their operations and asking good questions, which shows that cloud is here, change is here, and we're part of it.
So the tribes that you want to interact with are here.
Absolutely.
Good. So what are you guys up to at Signal FX that you'd like people to know about?
Yeah, so at Signal FX we are a real-time streaming analytics and monitoring solution for both modern applications. So if you are a microservices environment, if you're using open source technologies, you're probably a shoe-in for our technology. We're going to give you that real-time visibility into what's happening in your application across your entire stack, across all of your services. And if you're not quite there, but you're thinking about it, so you're a large enterprise, you have a mainframe application you're trying to break down into those microservices and potentially push out into the cloud. If you're an enterprise that just has more of a monolithic application and development lifecycle, and you're looking at how do I get into the cloud, but do so with a safety net, we're the solution that is going to help you get there.
So let's talk a little bit about that safety net. Are you a safety net is in monitoring what could go wrong or what's doing well, or what is the safety net part? I like that.
Yeah, so I think it's a little bit of all of those things in a sense that we're going to be monitoring what's happening in real time, so you will know when something goes wrong. But what we really want to be able to do is use the powerful analytics engine that underlies the Signal FX platform to say things like, how many days is it before I run out of disk space? Mm-hmm. At the current trend, how long is it going to be before the lag in this particular API call that one of my customers relies on, how long is it going to be before it's actually they're having degradation, they're having performance issues. So we want to be able to proactively notify you that these things are happening so that when we do wake you up in the morning because we've sent an alert through PagerDuty, HipChat, Slack, VictorOps, whatever the case might be, it is really something that you need to take a look at now. Not host up, host down, but customer impact. And then from there, let's drill down into what was causing it.
And enterprises want to take part in this level of change. They want to become more agile. They want to respond to their market faster. They want to understand their customer. But in order to actually take advantage of this wave of change, to become digitally business transformed, they tend to be a little bit afraid of what might go wrong. They tend to focus on, hey, this operations change may be trouble for us. And what Signal FX does is gives them the confidence that they should move towards the edge. They should start thinking about how they not only respond but also lead and get out in front of changes and think about, if something does go sideways, we'll know about it before a customer. Signal FX enables that.
So when let's say a large monolithic company or a company that has monolithic software systems in place, when they want to do their IT transformation, and is it as important to have the safety net of finding out what could break and what's maybe not going well, but also to give them the positive reinforcements? Mm-hmm. Do you guys have the touch points to bring back the positive things that are changing for them?
Yeah, absolutely. So the way we'd like to think about it is we always focus on the developer, right? And the developer has his or her product, and they have their part of the product in terms of the services that they own. But for the first time, we're actually enabling the operations and infrastructure and DevOps organizations to have a product themselves, which is availability and performance. Good operations, good insight based on analytics and monitoring and alerting gives them opportunities to not only be responsive but proactive and look at trends and develop insights and a model for how do I improve my product? How do I get to a level of performance that is predictable and go even beyond that?
So is your Super Bowl day coming up soon, Cyber Monday? I mean, we're heading into that season where we're really close to this huge spike at the end of the year where people are shopping online and they want to know performance going on. Is that fair to say it's kind of your Super Bowl, or no? Or
no, and I say that because I think that we serve so many different industries that we have lots of regional title games across the board. Because you think about we do service retail customers and both brands themselves, and then the think
but
about
a pharmaceutical
like the
doesn't care about
yeah,
the time of year. Right,
no,
right.
and banking, finance, they have their own cycles, and so we do have these like spikes where it's very important that something like SignalFX is there, because not only again are we monitoring your infrastructure, but we're monitoring these metrics that talk specifically about what your customers, whether they be actual consumers for a retail company or your internal consumers if you're the IT department in a financial company, are experiencing right now.
And this idea of a Cyber Monday actually suggests that there's sort of a static threshold that everyone is thinking about. What we like to think about and what we drive our users to think about is everything is dynamic based on your own infrastructure and your own needs and your own trends. And it's not just a matter of demand, it's also a matter of how is your infrastructure changing from day to day based on your decisions internally. And so what SignalFX does is say every day is a Cyber Monday relative to a period a week ago, a month ago, an hour ago, a year ago. You need to maintain a level of performance based on what's real.
And what's real is what we define, or what your infrastructure and your users or consumers define?
It's a combination of the two. It's based on both the demand that's being put on the system at any given time. That could be normal demand. It could be spikes based on some kind of environmental or external change. But it's also the changes that you're promoting based on, hey, we're getting towards a modern runtime environment with Docker, so we're able to change our architecture regularly. And so we need to compare our availability to a period that makes sense an hour ago or a week ago, as opposed to, hey, we have a level that we need to keep it at, because that's constantly changing from hour to hour and from day to day.
So do you guys see any industries that are on the forefront of change and transformation because they're using monitoring and solutions like what SignalFX has? And are you seeing any laggards that industries that need to like step it up a little bit?
What do you think? I was surprised that there are as many financial services, banking, technology companies that are heavily involved with finances that are moving this way, frankly. So I would normally think they might be the laggard, just because from a security standpoint, they normally don't want to let things leave their walls, so to speak. But that's not actually the case, and they're very, very forward thinking. And we're seeing it in retail. We're seeing a lot of Fortune 500 companies that have these sort of splinter or edge organizations that are funded to go out there and like disrupt, right?
Push,
and those those are the guys that are coming in, and they're really trying to figure out how do we move from potentially these applications that are monolithic, that we've had for a while, and how do we get them into the cloud? How do we get them more modularized? And how do we move to more of a DevOps type of development cycle?
Yeah,
right?
It's been surprising how many manufacturing companies, like large established manufacturing companies that have operations around the world, as well as diversified businesses, are looking at this. And when you step back, it makes sense because with a diversified business, you have an opportunity and a requirement to think about your market all day long, and to think about how you're actually making the best use of your existing infrastructure and moving towards the next stage so that you can remain competitive. They're hip, they're thoughtful. And also in terms of like, where does it come from and who's doing really well? Well, SignalFX, our DNA comes out of Facebook, right? We always think about companies like Facebook being the smartest and the fastest, move fast and break things. We come from that. So our engineering team actually built a lot of the infrastructure and services monitoring at Facebook previously. And their goal at SignalFX is to make everyone more similar to that. To give that opportunity to any company in any industry of any size.
Excellent. So, gentlemen, if we sat down here in New York next year at this time, and we've seen 12 months go by, what would you like to say is new with SignalFX that you've done over those 12 months that are coming in front of us? And what do you think will change in the industry? Let
me tackle the industry question first. And I think what I do think that we're going to see is that it's no longer, again, those splinter organizations. It's no longer these disruptor organizations within large enterprises that are starting to look at monitoring. It's the office of the CIO or it's the office of the CTO, and they're pushing down like large company-wide directives about you need a technology like this in place because we are either in the cloud or moving to the cloud at a rate where we have to be able to have that safety net I had mentioned earlier. From a technology standpoint, we're just going to keep getting better at the analytics that we're already doing behind the scenes, the alerting that we're already giving you, the predictiveness that I had talked about. We have a data scientist on staff. We're looking at another, and really moving into helping you understand predictively what's happening in your infrastructure, along the same lines of what we're doing today, just with a little bit more sophistication.
I think a vision is really important for the enterprise. And so like John said, the CIO and the CTO's offices should want to become involved in this and set a directive. But there's also a matter of the cloud doesn't have to be scary. It should be seen as a massive opportunity, as should the modern runtime environment and a microservices architecture. Because ultimately you don't want to be in a situation where you make these decisions and say, oh no, I'm worried about the same old things, up, down, and how do I understand when something has already happened and think about the events. You want to get to a situation where you're actually saying, okay, we can become better. We can actually innovate using insight and analytics on our infrastructure and use that as a way to drive our business and grow.
Excellent. Sounds like an amazing journey ahead.
Yeah,
we look forward to being with you on it.
Great.
Yep.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.